One moment it was raining. Next, entire hillsides were collapsing, swallowing roads, farms, and nearly everything in their path. Southwest China has always danced a dangerous line between beauty and destruction. But between July 25th and 29th, 2025, that line vanished as torrential rains poured over Sichuan Province. What followed was not just another natural disaster, it was a complete breakdown of the earth itself. Floods swept through villages, landslides buried lifelines, and entire communities were cut off in minutes. This is the story of a region pushed to the brink, again. It began quietly. Just more rain. Nothing unusual for Sichuan. But by July 25th, 2025, meteorologists spotted a troubling pattern over this mountainous, landslide-prone region. For 5 days, the rain didn't stop. Clouds dumped relentless water over valleys and hillsides. From Luding County to Ganzi Prefecture, oversaturated soil began to collapse. By July 26th, alarms blared across cities and remote villages alike. Roads buckled, slopes gave way, and floodwaters tore through homes and history. And this was only the start. Luding County was among the first to be overwhelmed. By July 26th, the rain turned devastating. Non-stop downpours flooded rivers, collapsed hillsides, and shut down drainage systems. Nearby Libo County saw once stable slopes crumble into mud and debris. Ganzi and Yan prefectures, with their remote villages and narrow mountain roads, became nearly unreachable as conditions worsened. By week's end, over 200 millimeters of rain had fallen, far more than the fragile terrain could handle. Many of these areas were already marked as high risk, but warnings weren't enough. Landslides, mudflows, and floods were no longer looming dangers. They were happening. Sichuan wasn't just under pressure, it was starting to fall apart.
Inner Mongolia. Already swollen rivers, waterways and reservoirs have exacerbated the situation. Local authorities say 41 rivers have flooded. More intense rain is forecast over the coming days.
July 27th began with silence, but not for long. At 7:30 a.m. in Luding, disaster struck without warning. After relentless rain, the hillside near National Highway G318 gave way. Around 15,000 cubic meters of rock, mud, and vegetation crashed down, burying 70 meters of the highway within seconds. This wasn't just any road. It was a vital link between Sichuan and Tibet. But authorities had seen the danger coming. That slope had been under close watch for days. As rain saturated the red clay-heavy rock, officials issued early warnings and evacuated people just hours before the collapse. When the landslide hit, emergency teams from transport, fire, and geological departments quickly arrived. A command post was set up and drones scanned the area while crews carefully began clearing debris. By evening, they built a one-lane bypass, restoring limited access to remote towns. Rock anchors and protective mesh stabilized the slope. But there was no relief, because within 24 hours, yet another hillside was ready to collapse. Just a day after the Luding collapse, disaster struck again, this time in Libo County, within the Liang Shanyi Autonomous Prefecture. On July 28th, after 5 days of heavy rain, the hills above Wui Township gave way. A massive 300-meter-wide landslide unleashed over 20,000 cubic meters of rock, soil, and debris, engulfing farmland with brutal force. Witnesses saw boulders the size of compact cars tumbling down, snapping trees and filling the air with choking dust.
After Sichuan News. Earlier, 4 people were confirmed to have died after a landslide in a rural part of Hebei Province.
Yet remarkably, no homes were hit. Hours earlier, early warnings had prompted evacuations. Geological teams had been watching the slope for weeks, noting stress fractures spreading silently underground. The rain didn't cause the cracks, but it pushed them past their limit. Thanks to fast coordination, lives were saved as emergency crews evacuated people and started clearing the debris. Still, for Wuyi's farmers, it was too late. Their fields were destroyed, harvests lost, and the land they once trusted had betrayed them. The disasters weren't limited to looting and Lebo. All across Sichuan, chaos unfolded. Landslides erupted from Ebian to Yingjing, each one small but devastating for the people in their path. Remote villages were cut off as narrow roads vanished under rock and debris. Infrastructure collapsed. Power lines downed, poles snapped, and entire areas went dark. Farmland turned to sludge overnight. Streams ran brown, homes cracked, and highways were blocked by trees, rocks, and concrete. But thanks to better coordination and real-time monitoring, emergency crews responded quickly, working through the night under unstable terrain and relentless rain. Advanced sensor networks tracked rainfall, soil shifts, and slope vibrations, helping responders prioritize the most dangerous zones. In many cases, that tech meant the difference between saving lives and recovering bodies.
In multiple counties.
What made this disaster so severe wasn't just the volume, it was that everything broke at once. Sichuan wasn't facing a single crisis, it was breaking apart across valleys, farms, hillsides, and fault lines. By the time the rain stopped, Sichuan's emergency response was fully underway. Within 24 hours of the first major landslide, over 3,000 specialists, geologists, firefighters, rescue teams, and engineers were on the ground. Command centers were set up in key areas like Luding, Lebo, and Wuyi Township to coordinate fast-moving operations. Drones mapped damage in real time, while radar and vibration sensors monitored unstable slopes. Crews reinforced hillsides, installed protective mesh, and rebuilt key roads using quick-deploy, eco-friendly materials. What made the effort stand out wasn't just the tech, it was the precision. From Chengdu to remote outposts, every move was part of a tightly coordinated push to hold the province together, one slope at a time. As terrifying as the floods and landslides were, it could have been much worse. Thanks to years of investment in disaster prep, sensors, digital maps, and alert systems, Sichuan was ready. Evacuations were fast, risks were flagged early, and lives were saved through smart planning and rapid response. The storm is over, but the risks remain. Stay alert, stay informed. And if this story hit home, like, share, and subscribe, because resilience begins with awareness.